How could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert. How could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the wind-swept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
So, what is Black History, and why is it in the month of February? The idea of celebrating Black History began in 1926 with a week-long celebration, primarily organized by Carter G. Woodson and others. The week coincided with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass, a prominent reformer that escaped slavery and worked the rest of his life to stop it, and President Abraham Lincoln, who issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which led to the eventual end of slavery. Carter Woodson's idea gained attention, and soon schools and communities started organizing celebrations and events to learn more about Black history and culture. The Civil Rights Movement sparked an even greater interest in the accomplishments of African Americans, such as scientist George Washington Carver, educator Mary McLeod Bethune, and baseball great Jackie Robinson. Soon the week-long celebration evolved into a month-long, and since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. They also endorse a specific theme. And 2021's Black History Month theme is Black Family, Representation, Identity, and Diversity, which primarily explores African diaspora and the spread of Black families across the United States. Just as President Gerald Ford said, America should seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history.
I am Dr. Katherine Stevenson Chavis. I am currently an aerospace engineer at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, as well as an adjunct instructor at Lane College. I was formerly the department chair when I was full-time there.
Hello, my name is Joseph Cobb. I am guitar player for Cooper the Band, and I'm here for the interview for the Black History Program.
I'm Rochelle Staten, Lieutenant at Jackson Police Department on patrol nights. I am the first Black female on patrol as a lieutenant. I'm the second Black female in the department, though. I'm the first one on patrol, and I am a IFBB pro bodybuilder.
Can you share an example of a hurdle or obstacle you've experienced in your field at any point in time?
I had an FTO that betted against me that I wasn't gonna make it past 6 months on the streets, but I did, and kind of earned my way. When I got here, I was excited when I first got to Jackson. I loved it. It was so diverse. It was more people that looked like me, and it was different. A big difference coming from Dyersburg when I was it. But being here, I did have a supervisor here that didn't appreciate me doing a grievance for a process that I got overlooked for. Basically told me that I didn't have anything common at this department. Now he's no longer here. So I took it in stride. I had good people that was constantly in my ear. Now, don't get me wrong. I did a lot of praying, but how God worked is I got promoted and he left.
One is a personal obstacle, is a lot of self-doubt. A lot of musicians have that. You sometimes don't feel like you belong. Dealing with being a black musician, especially in the South, there is a perpetuation that a lot of times black people don't play rock music or certain different styles. And so overcoming that perpetuation, and it's not intentional. I don't want to present it as if people are actively trying to make that lie all the time. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to be here, but it's presented as this. It's just this is the way it's been. So young black musicians, they may come into the genre and be like they feel like they're the only one, when in reality, no, you belong here too, especially historically speaking.
So, what is one takeaway from your job, either like as an engineer or as a professor, that has impacted your views on race in America?
So, as an African American, our work ethic seems to be always under scrutiny. We have to go over and beyond to prove our worth and our value. So at that time, I lived in a small town in Mississippi where our school system was racially divided. My teachers would stress frequently that we as Black students needed to perform over 100% just to get a good job. And so, therefore, we had to learn as much as we could and really not just learn it, know how to apply what you've learned in real world situations. And so, this goes back to as being a mathematician or a math teacher. A lot of students, they learn how to go through the process. I know PEMDAS, but do I know when to apply it? And so these lessons really paid off for me as we fast forward to me and my current job as this aerospace engineer for NASA. So do I give more than 100%? Going back to those lessons as a preteen, absolutely. I give more than 100%. Do I think about race on the job? And that question is yes, or the answer to that question is yes as well. But as long as I keep those high values or those high work values at a premium, I believe that it will and it has not allowed race to be a dominant topic.
There is there's a lot of tension out there. Now it's not in Jackson. Jackson doesn't get what you see the world get, or like California law enforcement, I guess because we're so much smaller and most of the community knows you. They know who their police officers are because we do a lot of interaction. But I get with everything going on in the world, I can see tension and I can see certain people feeling certain gravitate to what is it, defunding the police. I see that, but I don't worry about it here. Here, if you think about it, we haven't had any type of big issues like that. We're not probably the best police department in the world, but we are a good police department and we are diverse. As you see, I'm sitting here. We're getting better. We're not perfect, but we're getting better.
The best advice I could give, especially dealing with what's going on today with racial tensions and racial inequality, is listening and empathy. I say empathy in the sense where you are focusing on one person's pain and not just taking that pain and lashing out at somebody else. A lot of times when you see arguments on both sides for dealing with police brutality, Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, a lot of times you see a lack of empathy. And a lot of times people will see someone's side and just immediately lash out. Or better yet, we see it in the news today for, like, let's say the past 4 or 5 years, because that's what it feels like. And so a lot of times people are saying, oh, you're just lying, you want to be disrespectful, or why are you trying to demonize uh, public authority? And not everyone actually hates police officers in that way. There's a lot of people who do, but that not everyone who is posting or is representing hashtag Black Lives Matter is actually disrespectful to authority in that manner. Everyone I personally know doesn't do that. To still see those those officers be, no, we can't have this today, dealing with police brutality, seeing um, young black men and women fall victim to abuse of power and still serve, that should make people think and say this is bigger than trying to demonize cops or say all cops are racist, because not everybody thinks that, and it's unfair to assume that of someone's pain, because not only does that ruins the relationship, and that assumes someone's a liar, when really you're just seeing 4 or 5 years of news and not realizing that this is generations of relationship between the black community and authority. As a young black male, your parents tend to talk to you a certain way at around age 12 or 11, how you're supposed to deal when being stopped by a police officer. And the conversation that's usually had in black usually excuse me, the conversation that black families usually have are under the assumption that that child will be treated like a man, and not in a good way, but it'll be assumed that they're up to no good. And not because they think all police officers are bad. It's just that that family does not have the luxury of assuming otherwise. That maybe not all cops are bad. We know that. But if something goes wrong, we have to protect that. We have to protect ourselves from it. And usually it's never something aggressive, nasty, or dirty. It's something defensive. When you see a lot of young black men complying, it's not always because out of respect. Sometimes it's out of fear. People say, "Oh, if only if they comply, if only they comply." Listen, if it's compliance out of fear, then it's no longer respect. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really understand.
I say try to do what's lawfully right, regardless of your race. The more we all live right, try to make sound decisions, hopefully we can begin to see each other's hearts and not the external factors such as the color of our skin. Then we can truly adhere to the quote from the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. So we can move forward and diminish this racial inequality. As we strive to get to this harmonious place, which may take several more years and several more years, bad things may happen, as evidenced by these recent events in the news. So, if bad things happen, try to take the bad and change it into good. As Beyonce says, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
So, what is a message that you have to tell all the teenagers wanting to enter your field? Like going to be in engineering or just teaching or like working at NASA or anything like that?
So the field of engineering, it's a very tough discipline. I mean, it's broad. You can be a mechanical, civil, electrical, industrial. It's so chemistry, whatever, there are so many different disciplines for engineering. But if you keep persevering, if you have great time management skills, and if you love creating, developing, or improving on things that benefit you, someone else, or something in this world, I say go for it. The rewards are tremendous. From an educational perspective, I love it as well. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's been a time where I hadn't tried to do both engineering and education, or being a professor, because I do online teaching and I've done that since 2006 for online teaching. And so there are so many rewards to it as well. But the rewards are great because you sow so many seeds into students that you get rewarded for a long lineage of years, because as you sow that seed into a student and they keep producing, then you keep being rewarded as well. So from an engineering and an educational perspective, I say go forward, do what you love, do what comes from the heart. And when you love something, it's not a job, it's really like a hobby.
The most important thing that I would tell anybody about law enforcement, or if you care about your community, is if you are you want to see a difference in your community, you want to see more people that look like you, then become a law enforcement officer. You want to make a difference, you want to make an impact, then this is the perfect job for you. Because not only are you saving lives, you're helping your the area out. You're not only a police officer, you're a counselor. You know, we motivate, we're mentors. There are things that we do that the public don't see. You need a place to stay for the night. Most of us come out of our pocket and get a hotel room or feed you. So we do make a difference.
Get an education. Now, an education is a lot different than just going to college. You should go to college. I'm not going to tell people don't go to college. You should go to college, but the reason why you go to college is to get an education. It's not just for the piece of paper, especially in the music industry. No one really looks for that degree in music entertainment in when you're a songwriter or you're an audio engineer, when you're a guitar player or a bass player, which is some of the those are just some of the things I try to do. Being part of group of the band and also working locally in town, the studio's not going to hire you always. Sometimes because of networking and who you know, but they're not going to hire you just because you got a degree. Things why you're going to college. Well, you're getting an education to learn about the field you're jumping into. You want to learn the most and hone your skills while you're there. And this college might not be for you because you may be able to hone your skills somewhere else and also save some money by linking up with a local studio, go working with a production company if you're into live sound and live production, interning at a publishing firm or a label if you have those opportunities. So it's all about the actual education. Now again, still go to college because you should, but it's all about the education, not about the piece of paper. And always be open to criticism and try not to take things personally because there's a lot of people who will just say the most open and honest thing. The best way I can put that, the most open and honest thing to you. And you have to learn to decipher whether that person is being forward or if that person is just being an actual jerk. Sometimes people are being both, unfortunately.
What are the benefits of teaching or attending an HBCU? I know that you went to an HBCU for your education. You also teach at one. So
So I've been fortunate to do both. To teach at an HBCU, it truly does allow me to give back to my own community and shall I say, pay it forward. So I'm able to be a role model for my students who had meager or humble beginnings like I did, and show them that having a strong educational foundation, it does pay off. And then in attending an HBCU, I was on the receiving end, and my professors, they sold into me, they believed in me, and they pushed me to levels that was beyond my understanding at that time. So I believe that is what allowed me to excel while pursuing these STEM degrees, because I have mathematics and engineering degrees. So I am very grateful for the opportunity to have attended and taught at HBCUs, and the benefits are enormous. So that's just a quick answer as to how I have loved attending and teaching at HBCUs.
I know with everything that's going on in the world with Black Lives Matter and all the um, the civil unrest that's going on, and I really don't do politics, and I don't get caught up in a lot of it. Um, do they have their place? Yes, to make society better. We have to go through those things. I just, if I had to leave you with anything, I would say that let us not get caught up on what we see in the media about law enforcement taking lives. It's real. I'm not downplaying it by no means, But let us not forget that, especially in the area I work at, I got gang violence. And I don't want those young men's lives that got lost, get lost in the process where it seems like we don't care about them either. So I just, we got to figure out how to lump everything into a bowl and where everybody care about everybody.
Oliver Nelson was born into a musical family in St. Louis in 1932, playing music from the age of only 6 years old. From performing in a band in the Marine Corps to composing music for television, Nelson became a well-known artist. One of his most famous jazz pieces, Stolen Moments, was originally written in 1960 and will now be performed by Madison's own jazz band, with solos by Mason Henson on guitar, William Steen on tenor saxophone, and Cade Spradlin on alto saxophone.